Are the current protests anti-Semitic? Are the protests happening right now on college campuses across the US anti-Semitic? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to my new video series entitled, It's Time You Learned About White Supremacy Culture. In today's video, I'm talking about a characteristic of white supremacy culture called fear of open conflict. So I'm going to give you some examples of fear of open conflict. Now, these examples are based on the LSA Inclusive Teaching Guide at the University of Michigan, and it's based on the original teachings about white supremacy culture from Dr. Tema Okun. So here are some examples. People in power are scared of expressed conflict and they try to ignore it or run from it. When someone raises an issue that causes discomfort, the response is to blame the person for raising the issue rather than to look at the issue which is actually causing the problem. There's an emphasis or insistence on being polite, setting the rules for how ideas or information or differences of opinion need to be shared in order to be heard. In other words, requiring that people calm down if they are angry, when anger often contains deep wisdom about where the underlying hurt and harm lies. Equating the raising of difficult issues with being impolite, rude, or out of line, then punishing people either overtly or subtly for speaking out about their truth and or experience. Labeling emotion as irrational or anti-intellectual or inferior, which means failing to recognize the importance of emotional intelligence. Now, I want to share 3 things that you should know about peaceful protests. Number 1, protests are a last resort. They are what people resort to when people in positions of power who are causing harm, unlawful violence, and oppression on marginalized groups of people refuse to listen to the will of the people and stop causing the harm or unlawful violence and oppression that they've been causing. Number 2, people who protest as a result of extreme unlawful violence or systemic oppression from people in positions of power are crystal clear about what they are protesting for and what they are protesting against. And they make sure everyone knows what that is. So do not listen to the media's definition or the government's definition of what people are protesting about. Go to the people who are protesting and listen to them. Number 3, if you're more concerned about the disruption, inconvenience, or personal discomfort the protests are causing instead of the issue that the people are protesting against, you are on the wrong side of history. And you should really do something about that. So, are the current protests anti-Semitic based on what you learned today and what you've heard from the actual people who are protesting? I'll let you decide. At the end of the day, you're either for genocide and systemic violence and oppression and occupation, or you're against it. There's no in between. Remember, there's no hierarchy in humanity. Now, if you're looking for more ways that you can get on the right side of history, purchase the replay of my online masterclass entitled 7 Practical Ways to Fight Against White Supremacy in the Anti-DEI Era. It's now available for a limited time at that link on my profile. Remember, anti-racism is not a diet. It's a lifestyle. Go to that link in my profile and get started today.